Hi guys, Joseph Bronson, Mountain Warrior Kung Fu Academy. I've had a lot of students ask me, not just people talking to me, coming to my school or getting a hold of me on the YouTube channel, but I've had a lot of students ask me, what is it that I teach? You know, it says Kung Fu on our sign. You know, there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of different styles of Kung Fu around the world. Hybrid styles, hybrid systems, and of course the traditional systems out of China. It's a general term. Kung Fu means working hard towards a great accomplishment, and you really can become Kung Fu at really anything, and should become Kung Fu at everything that you do. So what is it we do, specifically in our school? The name of the system is called the ASP System of Martial Development. And again, you know, what is that? Pretty ambiguous term. I chose that term because I grew up in the Bruce Lee era. You know, I was too young to have ever met him. Like thousands of other people have gotten to work with Danny Inosanto in seminars, and Paul Vunak, people like that. One of my old instructors was a fully certified JKD instructor under Paul Vunak. That was James Keating, and those guys are amazing, incredible, and they really influenced me heavily. And the ideology, Bruce's ideology, influenced me heavily in my development of the system that we study. And one of the things that Bruce was doing was, as I understand it, I didn't know him, but this is all the people that I've talked to and listened to lecture on the subject. Bruce is really developing a style for him. It was Bruce's style. And, he would say to people, my JKD is not your JKD. You're going to have to find your own path, find your own way. And then, of course, he got involved in all these exercises, really great exercises, just like anybody developing any style that works for them at any point in time. And what happens is that people, basically write that style down or that method down and say, this is this person's style, and we're going to hold on to this forever. And I don't agree with that. I'm probably a little bit more in line with the JKD concepts people. Although if you want to do what Bruce is doing and specifically follow his line and, think he was a god, then great. But what I saw, or what I've seen rather, was that a lot of people didn't really have a really good fundamental base, which a lot of JKD people and various martial arts, eclectic martial arts out there have. But I saw a lot of people didn't have a real good base and were holding on to someone's stylized idea. So I spent 10 years of my life analyzing my students and analyzing what it was that they were learning from the various aspects of the different classes that I was teaching. Now, that means I'm running my Walam class, I'm running my Kuntao class, I'm running my weapons class, my Filipino weapons class, I'm running my energy drills and trapping class, joint locking programs, my kickboxing class, my equipment training class. And I'm looking at all these different formats of training, more than that probably, think about it now. But I realized one day that students were gaining an ability to understand movement at a faster pace with different lines of movement from different programs. And so I started studying, and I took a 10-year period of time of my life, a decade of my life, to research the hundreds and hundreds of people coming through my program, seeing what really worked best for them to understand basic movement. And that's what became the ASP system. ASP stands for Accelerated Self-Protection Programs, and that's really, it's just a term. It's what it's really supposed to do is give the person an ability to understand how their body works, the body mechanics, and mechanics of movement for self-defense, and then be able to guide them into developing their own style, their own stylized ideas off of that base. Now, I know this is a long-winded explanation, but it's tough to explain something that doesn't have a box. It's not inside a box. So our base system is a systematic process of development of lines or exercises, drills, lines of movement. And these drills are absolutely fantastic. They're not necessarily any better than anybody else's out there. They're just what I found in my study that worked real well. And I analyzed all these different lines and said, hey, these things in this fashion work best to give a person their base of movement for self-defense, for their body, to understand how to move for self-defense. This doesn't mean they're good at self-defense. It means they've got the base. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. What we're doing is we're jumping right into teaching somebody a style that worked for somebody at some point in time, and it was their style. It might have been a small committee of people, like the Black Belt Society that put together the Black Belt Society that put together Kaji Kembo. The guys that put that together in Hawaii. It was 1947, something like that. Or it could be an individual that studies a whole bunch of different systems or styles, and then puts together their own thing, and they call it whatever they're going to call it. It doesn't really matter what its name is. All the different martial arts style names. And then they have a style, and they teach that to other people. But what they haven't done is they haven't recognized really a fundamental base that helps to develop universal principles of movement. And that's what the ASP system does, specifically in its lines of movement. And then the goal from there is to encourage each person, help them, guide them towards the process of developing their own style off that base. And so what we're doing is we're trying to really bridge that gap that I think Bruce kind of left a little bit, in that he was doing things, as I understand it, for himself, and doing a lot of study that was very, very, very relevant to movement, but he stated specifically for himself. What I did was I looked at really hundreds and hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people through a 10-year period of time, and realized these elements were what a person needed to understand movement, and then off of that they could really develop their own base. There you go, ASP system of martial development. Thanks for watching.